أعزائنا المشاهدين، بنحب نرحب بكم مرة تانية في برنامجكم علاجك في بيتك، وبنحب نرحب بدكتور جويس معنا هنا في الاستوديو. أهلا وسهلا بيكي. بنحب نتكلم النهاردة عن طريقة تانية من العلاجات الطبيعية، فحابين نسألك إيه الطريقة النهاردة اللي هنتعلمها؟
It's the hot foot bath. It's a very simple treatment to do. Anybody can do it. And it's basically putting the feet in a bucket of hot water, as not burning, of course, and keeping it there, wrapping the person up and keeping them warm.
إزاي نتحكم في درجة الحرارة بتاعة المية؟
Well, for a healthy person, you can range the temperature. You'd always start it out mild and then increase the heat as you go along. And we could start it at 39 and go up to 46 in a healthy person, a person with good circulation. But if there's a compromise in the circulation or the feeling, like a diabetic or somebody's elderly, or perhaps they're very frail or sickly, you want to be very careful and probably start at body temperature, 37, and gradually work up to 39 and don't go over that temperature.
Okay. ليه بنستخدم النوع ده من العلاجات؟
Which means if there's congestion anywhere, it evens it out. Also, an amazing thing is if there's pain anywhere in the body, it can actually relieve the pain. And that's a wonderful thing to do. If a person has a cold or influenza, it can really shorten the duration of it because, again, as you increase the circulation, the blood comes to the area, it raises the temperature of the body to fight the virus or the bacteria, whatever you have going on. So it's very useful in that as well. For young women, for the monthly cramps, it's very good too because as you regulate the blood and through all the body, it really the congestion that's in the pelvic area is relieved, and that really helps with that. And even if you're tense, it helps relax you. So it's got many things.
كويس كمان انه هي حاجة رخيصة وحاجة متاحة، مش محتاجة اعدادات كتير. حابين نعرف ايه الحاجات اللي محتاجينها علشان نقدم لأي حد او لنفسنا النوع ده من العلاج. ايه الادوات اللي ممكن نستخدمها؟
Because you need a bucket large enough to comfortably put the feet in, and the water should come up above the ankles, so it has to be deep enough. And what you do, you start with the water at the right level, but you don't go farther than that because what you need to do is add warm water as the water cools and the person that's got their feet in the water feels like the water's cooling off and they want it warmer. And so you just check with them, can you use a little more warm water? And so you keep adding hot water as you go along.
يعني نفضل مخلين المية الدافية أدفى كل مدى حتى الشخص يحس إنه دايما رجله دافية.
Okay, yes, and again you can test it yourself with your elbow, and that helps you to know if it's too hot. And as you're putting the feet in the water, you hold the feet and you feel it with your hand as you go down to make sure it's not too hot. But you always ask them, how does it feel? Are you okay with this? Add cold or hot as the case may be.
خصوصا انه الكوع او البشرة من هنا حساسين كفاية للمية يقدروا يحددوا درجة الحرارة.
Because this is very sensitive to heat, so it's a good thing for testing. But if you have a person with a compromised circulation like diabetes, you can use a temperature gauge and just know that you're not above 39, and that's good. We also have to prepare the room because we want that person to be warm. So we need to make sure the doors and windows are closed so there's no drafts, make sure the room is warm. And depending on if we want a mild treatment or a vigorous treatment with a lot of sweating, it depends if we wrap them up in a sheet and blanket or not.
طيب خلينا نعرف أكتر إزاي الوضع اللي هيكون الشخص عليه.
Well, if it's just something easy like a headache and maybe menstrual cramps. That doesn't take a lot of time. Maybe 15 minutes, the headache will be gone, the cramps will be gone. So you can just put the feet in the hot water. If it's a headache, you put cold to the forehead, a cold cloth. And I like for cramps, it's what I've used before. Sounds funny because many think, oh, if I put cold here, I'm going to have more cramps, but it's actually the opposite. You cool this area and have the feet in the water, and those cramps will go quickly. So there's not sweating there. So it's always nice, even after that, for them to go rest for 20 minutes, 30 minutes if they have the time. But if, on the other hand, they have a more, we call it a mild, that's a mild treatment, but if it's a moderate treatment where maybe they have flu or something, or joint pain, for instance, then we wrap them up. So we have them, we put a blanket on a chair, we put a sheet over the blanket and have them sit there, have the bucket of hot water in front of them with a cool bucket of ice water for their head on the side. And we first wrap the sheet around them and then the blanket. And it should be long enough to cover the bucket in front of them as well, because that warmth will come up through all the body. And then around the neck, it's nice to put a towel. If it's a scratchy kind of blanket, like wool, you might want to protect the neck with a towel. And it also keeps the heat in. And as soon as they start getting warm and you see them perspire, make sure you start putting the cold cloth to their head, because you want to keep the head cool all the time. And keep changing the water.
قد ايه الوقت اللي لازم نعمل فيه العلاج ده؟
Well, it depends on the person, and it depends how soon they sweat. Because the mild treatment, like I said, maybe 15 minutes, they're not sweating or anything. A more moderate treatment, there's some perspiration, and you treat them until the symptoms are gone, like the pain is gone, or the fever breaks, and as soon as they start getting warm enough to feel uncomfortable, that's when you start putting the cold on the top.
يعني على حسب الاحتياج للعلاج بنحدد المدة.
I should have mentioned it earlier, but always we ask God to bless the treatment and to bless the person, because that is so important. We have to realize every time that it's not the treatment that's going to heal the person, it's God.
أكيد ربنا هو اللي بيشفي.
He's given us these simple methods that we can use that don't cost anything virtually, that have very good results without any bad side effects.
صحيح. نشكرك كتير على المعلومات القيمة دي، وحابين نعرف قبل ما نختم ازاي بننهي العلاج بتاعنا.
Or for all three, actually. Now remember, we've had that cold water sitting for the head, and we've used it, and we've changed the cloth enough to keep the head cool. You don't just leave it there, because all of a sudden it will get hot. So you have to keep changing it and always wring it out. Don't let the cold water drip down the face. It's very uncomfortable. So that's what we have to remember. But at the very end, we have the person lift up their feet, toes up, out of the water, and then you pour that pot of cold water over their feet and ankles, and then set them on a towel and dry them off very thoroughly. Now, if they've had any sweating, we like to have them take like the moderate treatment, for instance. We want them to go to the shower and start with a warm shower, and then cool it till their body is cool, and then go rest for a time. And the same with the very vigorous treatment. There's significant sweating. But if we want to continue that sweating, like if we want to break a fever, or if we're trying to get toxins out of the body, then we will actually take that person with all their blankets and sheets, put them in the bed after we dry their feet, and keep them warm longer. And then after their body stops sweating, then again, if they're able to take a cool down shower, that's another way we would end it. So it depends on the need. And I know that you've had experience with a hot foot bath.
صحيح.
Why don't you tell us about that?
صحيح، في مرة من المرات جربتها مع أختي، كانت رجلها بتوجعها وبس حطيناها ما بين مية سخنة ومية باردة اتحسنت بشكل سريع. فدي كانت من الحاجات اللي خلت الواحد يتأكد أكتر ويجرب بنفسه. العلاج سهل وبسيط وتنفيذه سهل وتأثيره سريع. دي كانت حقيقة يعني بركة من ربنا إنه المية تقريبا مجانا وكل حاجة متاحة في البيوت، إنه نقدر يعني نوفر طبق بسيط أو إناء صغير، ومية والتلج موجودين في كل مكان. فدي كانت حاجة يعني حلوة إنه نلاقي سهل وفي نفس الوقت إنه يكون فعال بالشكل السريع ده.
And that's wonderful. I think if our viewers try this at home on themselves, if they have a headache or anything like that, I think they will find that it's very effective. And it would be nice if they could write the email that you're going to show them and let us know what they've tried, how it went. It would be really nice to know.
وحابين كمان نفكرهم بان هم ما ينسوش يشربوا ميه اثناء العلاج، لانه ده بيعوض الميه اللي بيفقدوها اذا كانوا بيعرقوا او اذا كانوا موجودين ملفوفين في شيء مش قادرين يتحركوا فمتكتفين، فمحتاجين حد يساعدهم في موضوع شرب الميه.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's very important, because they're losing water with the heat, they're losing water with the sweating, and of course we know that having enough water in our system helps everything work better. So it's very important to have them drink water. And how do we do that? If they're all wrapped up, how do we do that?
أكيد حد لازم يكون مجهز كوباية ومعها شاليمو بيحاول يقرب منهم ويساعدهم في إنهم يشربوا.
Right. So we need to be present while we're having the treatment. They're all wrapped up. Their arms aren't available, so we need to be there, changing the forehead towel, and also making sure they're drinking water along through the treatment, especially for those treatments that are vigorous and there's a lot of sweating. Yeah.
فعلا محتاجين نفتكر 4 حاجات تقريبا مهمين، انه الشخص يكون ملفوف بالغطا كويس، مفيش اي نسمة هواء ممكن تكون او شباك مفتوح، نتأكد انه جنبه مية يقدر يشرب في اي وقت، في شخص يقدر يساعده، نتأكد دايما انه الرأس بارد ونقدر نغير كل شوية الكمادات الساقعة طول الوقت، نتأكد كمان انه مرتاح في الوضع اللي هو فيه، لأنه أي شيء محتاج يلاقيه جنبه بسهولة. ودي كلها حاجات سهل نقدر نوفرها لنفسنا واللي حوالينا. فشكرا جزيلا لحضرتك على الجزء النظري من التريتمنت.
So Lena's here with us, and I'm going to explain the treatment to her because that's one of the first things we do. And so, Lena, we're going to ask you in a few minutes to put your feet in a bucket of hot water, and it should come up to your ankles. We'll test it and let you test it and make sure it's not too hot for you. But we want it to be as warm as you can tolerate. Over here we have a bucket of ice. We will be keeping your head cool. When you start to sweat and you feel the need, we will have a cold cloth for your head. And in the meantime, we're going to wrap you up because we want you to get to the point where we actually perspire. Okay? And we'll talk more about what happens after the treatment. All right? So now we're going to pray to ask God to bless this treatment and to bless you and to bless us as we give the treatment to you. Dear gracious God, we thank you so much that you've given us such simple treatments that we can use at home and that are very effective to increase our health. We ask that you be with this treatment now, be with Lena. She is our model. Help her to be blessed by it and help us as we also do this in a way that is a blessing to her. These things we ask in your holy name. Amen. Mm-hmm. So first, as you can see, we have a sheet here and we have a blanket here. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to bring this around. And Naveen's going to tuck it in there. Now what we're going to do is maybe it's a good time to put your feet in the water, but just test it with one of your feet. It's okay? Okay, we're just going to pull up your pants a little bit because we don't want to get them wet. Okay?
It's cold. It's hot.
It's too hot?
No, a little bit.
Okay, let's add a little cold water. Try that.
Yes.
It's okay? If it's too hot, we'll add, okay, let's add a little more.
Yes. Yes.
You know, our hands can handle more heat than people's feet many times, so we have to be aware of that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, and we're going to move this a little closer to you. Is it comfortable for you? Your legs aren't back there. Okay, because we want to keep the heat in. So then, Naveen, you can pass that one over to me. Around the bucket. Now the blanket. Now remember, we always want a room without drafts. No windows are open, and we have lights here in the studio, so it's nice and warm for you, isn't it? Now, many times if you have a wool blanket, many times the blanket is irritating to the skin, so we can put a towel around. This is a nice soft one. It's not going to bother her like that, but just so you remember. Okay, so we have a bucket of ice because we may need to add ice periodically to the water that we use for her face. As soon as you feel like you need something cold on your face, I think she's already perspiring. So I think you're ready right now. So Naveen's going to help you with that. So as you can see, we had the chair, we had the sheet, we had the blanket, we have a towel for around the neck, we have the big bucket for her feet, and we have the ice as we need it. And at the end of the treatment, we're going to need very cold water to pour over her feet as well. Now, we also have given her a drink of water before we started. And throughout the treatment, we're going to ask her if she'd like some more water. She's all wrapped up. She can't hold her glass, so we have a straw that's going to help her to have her water. And so we don't want her to be dehydrated. We want her to stay hydrated, and that's why we want to give her water as we're giving her this treatment. On the floor, to protect it, we have a towel. You can also put plastic, whatever you want, because we want to protect the floor from getting wet. And we have a pitcher of hot water, and we have the cold water basin for her head, and a towel for later when we dry her. So, what are we doing here? If a person has a temperature, you will want to monitor her temperature as she's taking the treatment, because this will make her temperature go up. So we don't want it to go over 39 degrees. So we would make sure that we keep her head cool and that we don't go past that. Now for a mild treatment, that would require no sweating. Now we're making her sweat here right away. But a mild treatment would be something we could use for a headache. You could go to the bathroom, get a basin, put your feet in hot water, put a cold cloth on your head. You are not going to probably sweat, because in 15 minutes or so, your headache is going to be gone, hopefully. Usually it is. And make sure you keep your feet and warm water and keep the water warm, because it's usually a congestion in your head that makes a headache, and also sometimes dehydration. So you want to make sure you're having water for the whole time. Now she's already sweating, so her treatment, and because of time restraints on our program, we would consider this a good treatment. We've gotten her to a sweat, and as we finish the treatment, we're going to want her, after we cool off her feet, that'll be the end of the treatment. We'll pour cold water over her feet, and then we'll ask her, when we're finished with all of this and the cameras are off, we'll ask her to go and take what we call a cool down shower. Cool down shower is a shower that starts warm, like your body temperature, and you gradually cool it and cool it and cool it until your body is cool. And anytime you sweat like this, after the cool down shower, she should lay down and rest for 20 to 30 minutes before she continues her activities. That's what we would suggest.
زي ما سمعنا دلوقتي من دكتور جويس إنه الأدوات كتير بسيطة نقدر نستخدمها في البيت، بس نتأكد إنه دايما الراس دايما بارد، ودايما بنحط تلج عليه، ونتأكد إنه الجسم ملفوف في مقفول، وفي نفس الوقت يكون الحرارة بتاعة الغرفة كتير دافية. وأهم شيء بعد العلاج إنه ناخد شاور بارد حتى نرجع الجسم لدرجة الحرارة اللي كان عليها قبل العلاج.
So I think it's time to cool off her feet. So what we're just going to do is to bring the blanket and the sheet up a little so we can get to her feet. And we didn't even have to do a change of water, and her feet are nice and pink. So what we want you to do, we need more water. It's like maybe this basin. We're going to get some ice in that water, make it sure it's cool in that one. And so we're going to ask you when Naveen is ready to pour it. We really don't want to throw the ice cubes on her feet though. We just want to cool it off.
Okay. I'll try to not put any ice.
Okay, so we want you to lift your feet out of the water and point your toes up. Perfect. But keep them over the basin. That's good. Okay, now you can. Perfect. So we'll just move this away. That's good. And Naveen's going to hand me the towel. We'll just dry off your feet. Excellent. Very good. So we'll get her nice and dry. We'll get her in a cool down shower.
بعد العلاج بالمية للقدمين راح تاخد دش بارد شوية حتى ترجع درجة حرارة الجسم اللي كانت عليه قبل التريتمنت، حتى نتأكد انه كل شيء تمام. دلوقتي ازاي ممكن نستخدم المية في علاجات بسيطة زي الحمام الساخن للقدمين، بس نتأكد دايما انه يكون الرأس بارد والغرفة دافية، وقبل ما نبدأ دايما بنعطي الله الفرصة ان هو يستخدمنا في أشياء بسيطة نقدر نعالج بيها أنفسنا أو آخرين. ما تنسوش تبعتونا على الإيميل، ونستنى خطاباتكم لينا، ونشوفكم في حلقة جاية إن شاء الله.